Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 220th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Revel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cameron. How about you?
I'm doing okay. We had to, obviously this episode's coming out late. Apologies for that. I was out of town for work, and I'll be honest with everybody. I would have rather been here with you guys and the listeners.
Business trip.
Yeah, it was not fun. I got to not be at work for a few days, so that was nice, but
a little break from the routine.
Yeah. But traveling, the hassles of traveling and everything are like something you can put up with when you're going on vacation and going to go do something fun, but then traveling for work is like, why did I went through all of this for not really anything fun? No offense to anybody that might have also gone to the same event as me.
You missed us, though?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's missing out on a Thursday night hangout.
True.
With the podcast boys. It's always a little depressing when we can't do that. What happened since we last recorded? Mizzou lost a nail-biter of a game to Tennessee in football.
Played about 17 basketball games.
Played a lot of basketball games. We'll talk about all of those. And we will preview the senior night football game with New Meixco State.
That's in a few hours?
Yeah. Hopefully you get to listen to this before the game starts. Before we do all of that, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube, leave us a review on the podcast platform you use. And, of course, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the New Mexico State game later. It's going to be, I'm sure most of the people that listen to this, it might actually be like after the game. It's going to be interesting to hear all of our cold takes.
You know what?
Because everyone will know what actually happens in the game.
Yeah, you'll be able to listen to this like hours before the game, and all of our takes will be fresh in your mind. So we got to be sharp here, Kyle.
We're terribly wrong on that.
Yeah, the pressure's on us right now. Let's start with basketball, though. We got some catching up to do. Nothing too crazy happened. There were games that we were supposed to win that we won. The basketball team is now 4-0. And out the first game against Southern Indiana, we already talked about it, but it was a little closer. The defense looked lackluster, a little bit worrisome maybe, but first game, bunch of new pieces, no big deal. And we've kind of seen more or less the same team for 3 more games.
Mm-hmm.
Like super fast-paced, getting buckets when they need to on offense, and the defense has been more athletic than teams, and they have really dialed up the pressure to sort of exacerbate their physical advantages, basically, on some of these inferior opponents. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how well that translates to better competition. We're not going to find out right away either. It's going to be a little bit still before we play Wichita State. But after 4 games, what's kind of your overall feelings about the basketball team?
Yeah, it's a little bit different of a team than I thought we might see, honestly. I'm not concerned necessarily about the defense yet, but I definitely thought the defense would be more of a strength than it has been currently, and that can totally change. Like you said, we're 4 games in to a brand new season with a brand new coach and completely different team of guys that a lot of them have never played together. So that's certainly something to watch. You know, it seems like the interior defense is probably going to be a problem all season, but the perimeter defense seems like something that's been pretty bad, but could definitely improve. So I think they've got the athletes to improve on the perimeter on defense for sure. The offense has been like better than I expected. Honestly, the offense has just been a joy to watch. Like how fast they're playing and how athletic they look, and shooting pretty well for the most part. So, I mean, they've got 8 or 9 guys that can legitimately go out there and score double digits in any game, at least in against this caliber of opponent so far. So, yeah, it's been really, really high energy games, and I hope that they continue to be able to score against better opponents.
You talked about you mentioned the defense. What have you made of the like full court press, the just flying around the court, causing turnovers. Missouri's defense after 4 games is 17th in turnover percentage caused on defense.
Yeah, I love it, especially when you have the depth to do it. You can just keep rotating guys in and out. Like, that was not probably a realistic option for some of those Conzo teams, and that were only playing 6 or 7 meaningful, guys.
Yeah.
And you can't have some of your best players just getting gassed from, running a full court press or whatever it is. So yeah, I love the pressure when it's something that you've got the personnel and the depth to do. And I mean, why not? Just make make everything difficult, every pass difficult. Make them fight to get down the court, and just to get into the half court set, make it difficult.
And with the advantage for Missouri, pretty obviously at this point being on-ball defense and athleticism, that's how you kind of put extra pressure on the offense or on the opponent, is by extending your defense like that. And when you have like Gomillion and Hodge have looked really good, just flying around the floor, causing turnovers, and then that leading to transition baskets. That especially against the most recent game against SIU Edwardsville, that was like all over the place. I think they had 30 points off turnovers.
Yeah, that was clearly, at least in my opinion, probably the best they've looked so far. And
they were up by 40 at one point in that game.
They were cruising, and obviously that's they were maybe 275 in Kim Palm Southern. Edwardsville,
280.
But yeah, still Missouri did exactly what they needed to do in that game. They were just dominating from start to finish.
So after 4 games now, Missouri is 51st in Ken Palm overall, which is a slight dip, and all of that dip is from the Southern Indiana game still, basically. They haven't really moved since then.
Which I still feel like that explosion of three-pointers
at
the end of that game is still fair to say that, Missouri's defense needs to improve, but I think that was still a little bit of an outlier performance. I don't know what Southern Indiana has done since then. And I'm kind of putting you on the spot to
I can tell you right now
to look it up, but it's I don't think that they're going to do that again.
They beat Southern Illinois,
that's
and
a decent
they
win.
lost by 12 to Notre Dame on the road.
Well,
their 3-point percentage on the season are still shooting 42% from 3.
Well, I mean, maybe that's actually a little encouraging that they kind of exploited Missouri in that second half, and at least from the 3-point line.
Missouri, after 4 games, is pretty bad at defending threes. When they haven't caused a turnover in transition, their rotations have not been sharp, and I feel like that's definitely gotten better since that first game, but there's still lapses where they're just leaving guys wide open.
Oh yeah, just really, really slow, just rotating over, or just completely breaking down or getting confused or something, and someone just standing there wide open.
The on-ball switching seems fine. Like, they're not really having trouble there, and they're preventing driving lanes for the most part. But something's happening on the off-ball rotations where they're just leaving a guy wide open in the corner.
Yeah, I think that's fixable though, for sure. That seems like an issue that you would choose to have over others in the beginning of a season.
They're also, Missouri's defense is fouling a lot and sending teams to the free throw line, but that's kind of a result of the frenetic pressure defense. So I don't know. You take that a little bit when you're getting so many turnovers and points off turnovers.
Yeah,
but
if you're scoring as much as they are, then you can live with it.
Yeah,
but
against better, again, a lot of this is against better competition, does this still work?
Yeah.
Most likely not as well as it has been.
For sure.
Offensively, I think it's really interesting that Kobe was the leading scorer in the first game. Noah Carter has been the leading scorer. Des Moines Hodge has been the leading scorer.
Yeah, Carter had a blow-up game. He scored 28 points the other night. Had 6 threes in that game.
Yeah, and it made me remember Coach Gates after the first game. Carter went 0 for 4 from 3, and Gates was like, "That's not him.
Nope.
He doesn't go 0 for 4 like that."
Yeah.
And he immediately showed that was the case.
Yeah, he really, really versatile player, and I think he was a big transfer in the off season, but I think we're gonna really like Noah Carter and what he can bring to the table. Maybe more so than I originally thought. And I've watched him play quite a bit in the Missouri Valley, but to see him do it when he's got more competition for scoring opportunities around him, to kind of dominate a game was encouraging to see. And then, Des Moines Hodge, same thing. Blow-up game the other night against SIU Edwardsville. I think he had 30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Good
little bit
player.
of that was garbage time. They were really trying to get him to 30.
Yeah.
But
he's fun to watch, man. Just a big body, great shooter. He's got the ability to score, 15, 20 on any given night.
I'm super impressed with, there's 7, 8 guys, basically all the guys that you think could be in the starting lineup at any point. They can knock down a 3, and they're good finishers at the rim. Hodge, from 2 so far this season, has attempted 18 shots, and he's made 14 of them. That's not sustainable, but it just shows he is a good finisher at the rim. Even Sean East, not going to have as efficient of games as the point guard, but he's been finishing well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to continue to be a Nick Honor stan as well. Just somebody who's just making the offense happen right now. And like you said, is more than capable of hitting a 3 at any point from anywhere on the floor. I mean, he can just kind of bring the ball down and pull up, or, in a couple of times I've seen him kind of be the open man on kind of a rotation where they're trying to get him the ball, trying to get him open.
He doesn't hesitate.
Yeah, and he'll pull the trigger for sure.
Kobe has struggled with fouls so far, so he hasn't played as much. He multiple games now has gotten 2 first half fouls too early and basically had to sit till halftime. So that's something that he's going to have to figure out a little bit if he wants to contribute like we think he should be able to.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think probably more is hinging on the development of Diarra than we probably would have wanted, and considering we're just really shallow at kind of in interior presence. We just, Kobe and Noah Carter are going to have to kind of do their best down there, and maybe some Aiden Shaw. So those, none of those guys are really an ideal defensive presence for the interior, and so I think everyone was kind of hoping Diarra, as one of the top JUCO players in the country, you would hope he would be able to come in and contribute a little bit, but also you can definitely tell he's talented, but he's super raw.
Yeah,
and I think he could get there, but he's not there yet.
And as much as I was probably more hopeful than anyone that he would be able to contribute, and I was just desperate for some kind of post presence, defensively mostly. And watching him play, he looks like he's skilled and talented, but it's just not happening this year for sure.
Behind right now. Yeah.
And also, Ronnie DeGray obviously being out of the main rotation is disappointing, because he's a guy that, even though he's undersized, could give you some minutes in the post.
Yeah.
But if those minutes are all going to Aiden Shaw and he's getting an opportunity to learn on the fly, and he looks capable, we talked about in the preseason how if we're going to get interior defense from anybody, it's just as likely him as anybody else, just with his athleticism.
Right. Yeah, I do think that if we continue to – I think we've kind of struggled with rebounding a little bit at times. I really might not be the worst idea to get Ronnie in there a little bit, because that's honestly what he can do for you. He's not going to be a consistent scoring threat necessarily or anything, but he's kind of that junkyard dog kind of guy that will just go in there and clean up the boards and do the dirty work. So, there's a lot of guys in this team, man, and we've talked about that a lot. There's a lot of guys competing for playing time, and everybody really is bringing something to the table so far. So it's tough to get everybody in there for meaningful minutes, but DeGray could bring some rebounding help at some point in the season.
So I feel like everything that all the players we've mentioned so far, it's just been glowing reviews of their play. 2 guys that I would say they're the only 2 that I would say have not really. Well, Caleb Brown, his role is interesting as sort of third point guard, and I feel like he's in there for his size a lot of the time to try to help rebounding, but he's on the perimeter, so it's not the best fit. They'll figure out something with him, but Golston and Mosley, 2 wings, seniors, offensive threats, haven't really put it together offensively yet. Golston's been the starter all 4 games and just been inefficient, not getting to the free throw line, not really making shots. He's 2 for 10 from 3. So there's, I'm not predicting that he will lose his starting job necessarily. I think Coach Gates will give him every opportunity to work through that, and the next game they play, he could be the one going for 25 and being the leading scorer. And he does have ability to like post up smaller guards, and he can find mismatches and stuff. He just hasn't quite put it together yet.
Yeah, he's a really big athletic body for sure, and I think he will figure it out and improve his efficiency as we go.
That brings us to Mosley, who has been the talk of the town. We are going to stick to on the court stuff. I think we're better off doing that. You can speculate for days about like
some mild drama, but nothing crazy.
Players' attitudes and stuff. It's not even worth trying to speculate on, in my opinion.
Well, he did miss a game though, and so I mean, I feel like that's maybe worth mentioning.
Yes,
was he just did not suit up for one of the games and did not make an appearance, and
he was in uniform, just never took his warm up off.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I guess if he was on the bench, but
and Coach Gates afterwards said, not everybody's going to play every game.
Yeah.
Like, we went with who was working for us. Yeah. He's not a starter right now.
It was clearly, I mean, a lie sounds like a strong word, but it's like there's something going on.
Yeah.
We don't know what that is, and he was normal minutes the next game. So whatever, they must have moved on. But that was kind of a little bit of a red flag for sure. Second game of the year or whatever it was. No Mosley was a little concerning.
Yeah, and that just invites complete
wild speculation.
Yes, he's everything, but that's pointless. Like unless something official comes out, we just have to go with what Coach says, and like speculate all you want, but it's not going to be helpful to anyone. What we can talk about though is his play on the court, and again, just like with Golston, it just hasn't really come together yet offensively. He has looked good at times. 0 for 4 from 3. I don't think a single one of those have been like a spot up 3.
For the season, he's 0 for 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
All of his 3 attempts have been ISO off the dribble step backs, basically.
Yeah.
He's looked good on some of his dribble drives, and he has looked very good distributing the ball, which that's something that Coach Gates was hyping up in the preseason, that he has shown that. Now, he's got more turnovers than you'd like, but again, in their last game in garbage time, he was just like throwing a lob to Aiden Shaw every time down the floor.
Yeah. He has a couple of moments where it's kind of that vintage Isaiah Mosley that he did, who he was at Missouri State. He kind of has that NBA style of play where it's ISO, it's I'm better than you, and if you give me enough opportunities, you're not going to stop me consistently, and that's how we're going to win. That's not going to be how he scores at Missouri most of the time, I don't think. There's just too many guys competing for meaningful minutes. There's too much talent around him for him to just dominate the touches like he did at Missouri State. But I do feel like things will certainly improve because, kind of an interesting concept that we were talking about a little bit in the Discord earlier this week is my personal opinion is when we start playing better teams, some of these other guys are not going to be able just to go score 18 points in a game against, whoever it is, Texas A&M or just in SEC play. I don't think we're just going to be getting like random double-digit performances from just any guy here and there like we are right now. It's
going to be harder to just go get a bucket.
Exactly. So as we go on and start increasing the difficulty of opponents, I definitely think that's going to be the opportunity for Mosley to kind of step up and be like, all right, this is my time to be the scorer that I am, and I'm still probably the best scoring threat easily on this team. And I think they'll look to Mosley in those maybe more difficult spots where maybe guys are thinking, oh, I'm not the best option to score right now, and every possession is really, really important. We need to get our best scorers the ball. So I definitely think his usage will increase. I hope his minutes increase, and I think he just needs a little time to gel.
And this may be, I completely agree with everything you're saying there. This may be, well, tell me what you think of this. I don't love how he's getting his touches right now. I wish that they felt more in the flow of the offense, or I wish he had a couple spot up threes a game. I wish he had a slash where he's getting fed the ball and he's just finishing at the rim. It seems like too high a percentage of his touches are in an ISO situation that kind of is outside of the flow of the offense.
Yeah.
And I know he's good in those situations, but have those as like a supplement to getting him the ball in opportunities to just immediately score.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. And it's almost is going to have to like reprogram his brain a little bit. I feel like, that's just kind of like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
This is how I score is
Yeah.
I just out usage you, and statistically over time, I'm going to just get it done.
Right. But when your volume is much lower than those,
right,
it's harder to get in a rhythm. It doesn't look as good.
I agree.
It doesn't pass the eye test so far, obviously.
Yeah.
But lots of time left, and still time against some bad teams for him to have a big game and kind of build his confidence going into the tougher matchups.
I still think he's going to go for like 25 plus against Kansas. So, we'll have that coming for us at least.
Yeah, it's easy to, for me, it's easy to just get pessimistic and think like, oh no, this just isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And I think this maybe sounds silly, but like how everything was built around Michael Porter Jr. and then he got hurt, and it's like, okay, well, we just have to come up with offense elsewhere. I feel like in the back of my mind, there's this scenario where it's like, we're thinking Isaiah Mosley's going to come in here and be the leading scorer, and then just, oh, nope, it didn't click, and he's irrelevant, and we have to figure it out with all the other pieces. That's like worst case scenario, but I'm a sports fan, so my mind's going to go there pretty easily.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't think he was kind of a late ad in the transfer process, and I can't possibly imagine that they were like expecting to land him and then plan the season around him. But after they did land him, I'm sure that there was a little bit of that, and I still think that that's a possibility. But I think that your concern is validated.
Still a lot of season left.
Yeah.
The next game for Missouri tomorrow is against Mississippi Valley State. Mississippi Valley State is year in, year out one of the worst programs in the country. They are right now 362nd in KenPom, which is second to last. Only IUPUI
Oh, man.
is worse than them, apparently. They're
Worse than Lindenwood.
worse than is Lindenwood D1? I don't even, okay, well, yeah.
I think this is their first year, I think.
Yes. So Mississippi Valley State, out of 363 programs, they are 359th in offensive efficiency and 357th in defensive efficiency.
Well, at least they're consistent.
Yeah.
Lee bad.
Yes. First season for new head coach George Ivory. So good luck to him. This will be a real stepping stone to better things.
Yeah, the way Missouri plays, like just the kind of like ferocious, like just we're going to put up like 150 shots in a game. That's exaggerating, obviously, but this has the makings of just being an absolute slaughter by 10 minutes to go in the game. Missouri could be up by 40 again.
That was honestly a weird thing about the SIU game is like the gameplay that I was watching made me think that there was only like 2 minutes left in the game when there was 10 minutes left in the game.
I had that exact same thought. Like, wow, we have like 85 points with 10 minutes left in the game.
And it's like getting sloppy, and we're just like throwing lobs, and like it's like there's still 10 minutes. There's still a quarter of this game left.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. We got to rein it back in a little bit.
That's just the byproduct of the style of play they have right now. They're just going down. They're just getting up shots really, really quickly. And so that's just a ton of opportunities over the course of the game.
Yeah. I've been super impressed with their ability to finish in transition and like share the ball. And
and so at times they look like they've been playing together for a long time. And some of those.
Well,
I guess some of them
Gomillion and Hodge obviously have chemistry, and we've seen that.
Don't forget about Majock.
That's true. He's been out there a little bit. Unfortunately, I still believe we don't have a solution on the defensive post play. Anything else for basketball? It's been fun so far. We just got a preferred walk-on commit for 2023. I don't remember his name.
Thanks for letting us know.
He's 6'7" forward.
Oh, no.
They're back. Okay, let's move on to football. There was a heck of a game last week against Tennessee. It was a real nail-biter until it wasn't.
Now, you'll better stop saying that, because
What?
Missouri actually played well at times in the first half.
Okay, explain.
They were within 4 points
Yep.
of Tennessee, number 5 team in the country.
Yep.
Yeah, on the road.
Yep.
They were fighting.
Yep.
And then they died and gave up 38 straight points in the second half.
Yep. At one point.
Did you expect the game to be 28-24 at any point in that game? Like,
no.
You never would have bet 1 cent that was going to happen.
No, but I really thought that Tennessee was not going to score 66 points.
That's true.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't think both of those things would happen in the same game.
Yeah.
So it was kind of
It's
a
like
weird
one of
one.
those things where it's like they can't be good at the same time, offense and defense. They just can't figure it out at the same time, can they?
Has Josh Heupel really figured it out? Yeah, I gotta say he has, but obviously they beat Alabama, so that he doesn't need to do anything else this season. Honestly,
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's one of those things where, yes, clearly he's capable. He's a good offensive mind, but the SEC, and we see it a lot in the NFL where you'll just see like people just burst onto the scene and they're doing really well, and then you give it a little bit of time, people figure it out. Can they adapt? So I think that's kind of like the next step in the Josh Heupel experience is like, can he do it again with probably different personnel and with a whole offseason of teams having film on what they do? Because at least at Mizzou, I haven't done a whole study of Tennessee offense or anything this year, but that Mizzou offense was pretty simple whenever Josh Heupel was here, and they didn't do a whole lot, but we had an NFL caliber quarterback as well. So it's going to be interesting to see though, like what his future looks like. If he's, I think he will have opportunities in the NFL potentially next year, but I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, go be offensive coordinator in the NFL.
He knows what he's doing.
If you're a Tennessee fan, would you rather beat Alabama at home like that and lose to Georgia? And now basically, once you lose to Georgia, Georgia has to lose 2 SEC games for you to be in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
But you beat Alabama.
Right. So are you asking me?
Or would you rather lose to Alabama, beat Georgia, and now you have a path to the SEC tournament and you have a path to the college football playoff?
SEC tournament? I don't know, actually. That's a
I
great
want
question.
a 4-team SEC tournament in football.
It's basically the playoff. I don't know, man. If you're Tennessee, that win against Alabama, that was big for the brand, man. That was like exorcism, and just the crowd reaction, and just for days, like Tennessee was like basically viral in every social media platform and all that stuff. Like that was something that the Tennessee fans will remember for probably the rest of their life, to be honest. That being said, though, those banners hang forever, and a chance to get to the SEC championship game that's big.
Yeah.
But even if they do beat Georgia, it's not guaranteed.
True. And I feel like beating Alabama, it allows your fan base and everybody to be like, okay, we did that. Like, we're here. This is for real. Now the next thing is get to the SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's like either one would kind of but I feel like with the rivalry between them and Alabama, there would always be this like, yeah, whatever, you made it to the SEC championship game, but you still have to go through us.
Yeah.
And you haven't done that yet.
Yeah, it's very possible Tennessee's the best team, the second best team in the SEC, honestly, but they're kind of out of the playoff picture at this point.
Yeah.
Out of the SEC championship conversation at this point.
They're going to be they need multiple losses from multiple teams.
And if they got to the SEC championship, they're probably playing LSU, which I think they win that game pretty easily. So
yeah, they're going to be one of those teams that like is going to be probably like the first team out of the playoff. They don't get to play in a conference championship game. They'll be like a one-loss team that it ends up being number 3 in the polls at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. And they can always say they scored 66 points against Missouri.
Yeah, back to that.
We're a Tennessee podcast now.
Yeah, how many people just turned off the episode during that?
Like, we don't care.
I'm conflicted. Brady Cook, I'm not about to say that he looked good, because 19 of 32 for 217 yards. They weren't
like some errant passes for like wide open guys and stuff.
They weren't getting it done through the air. But he ran the ball 16 times for over 100 yards.
Like I know, it's like, it is so conflicting because they didn't even come close to doing enough to win this game, and if they played 1,000 times, they might never do it. But just because of how limited they are, but you can't. Like, I don't know how you say anything bad about Brady Cook and, like, his effort. He rushed for 130 yards or something like that. Like, he was the only reason Missouri scored any points at all in this game, basically. Like, he was the only player that was just really putting it out there. And, you know, I feel like I've said this a couple of times throughout the season. Like, nobody wants to hear this, and nobody probably really wants Brady Cook to be the guy after this season. But, man, he's gotten a lot better as the season's gone on. I love that kind of third down connection he had with Barrett Bannister in this game. Like, that was kind of automatic. Like, he just kept making plays, which is something Missouri has not done this year. Like, when we need to play, at times they were doing that against Tennessee. Like, kind of just back against the wall, they were finding ways to extend drives and score touchdowns. That's not something they've done well at any point.
Still, though, after the score, nice score to Lovett to make it 28-24. There was nothing.
Was that the third quarter?
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, it was just like they just were broken after the Hyatt touchdown where he lined up in the backfield and man,
total confusion. That was a 2-play sequence where Tennessee knows, like, get in this formation, and if they aren't perfectly aware of what's going on, this is going to be wide open, and it was.
I mean, that looked like a college team against a high school team there for a little bit.
Then Tennessee was just ripping off like 12-yard runs.
Yeah, I mean,
every other play.
Basically every drive, the rest of the game, it looked like we'll score in 2 plays if you want us to.
Yeah.
Like, we want to put money on it, we'll do it.
And they did not slow down. Like,
no.
I don't know. I'm willing to be a little bit frustrated by that. Just what
are we getting?
What are we doing here exactly? Like, I get that you put your backups in, give them a little run, but just I don't know. I feel like there's this argument like, oh, they want to score 66 points so they can maybe back their way into the college football playoff based on their resume. It's like, none of that matters. Like,
yeah.
That was kind of frustrating. But what was I was trying to find?
When did that happen? Score Dominic Lovett.
I'll tell you right now.
Early third quarter, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking. The
it was
last
just like
points.
a flip switched after that. Just like, okay, we're gonna take over this now.
Yeah, 9 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah, nothing good happened after that moment, unfortunately.
Nope. Tennessee scored 5 touchdowns after that. I don't think Missouri had 5 first downs after that.
No, probably not.
Everybody, I think maybe I wanted to see more from Cook, because as good as he looked, making things happen to get to that 24-point mark, if there's just nothing after that for a quarter and a half, then I don't know, like almost a half of the game, there's just nothing.
Yeah.
And however, I still think most of this is offensive line related, and we couldn't get a running game going at all. Like the rest of the team, 21 rushes for 66 yards. Also, it's been a minute. I've slept a few times. Was this the game where they tried the Macon play?
Yes.
Have we already talked about that? Okay.
No. I had put it out of my mind until you brought it up.
It's like 4th and 1 or whatever. I can't even remember the situation. One of these times where they bring Tyler Macon in, he gets under center, and we're like, okay, we're doing this again where we don't run a play. If we do run a play, it's going to be a sneak. But I've been saying they've got something here that they're going to pull out in a clutch moment where it's not actually a sneak. It's something zany.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. I'll say this in a second.
Okay. It's something silly. It's not quite a sneak, and it's going to go for a touchdown in a big moment. That's what they think they're going to do.
Yeah.
And they thought they were about to do it.
Yep.
And it was a disaster. They threw the ball on the ground, fumble.
Yeah, it was like a pitch back to who was it? Elijah Young.
Yes.
Yeah, and Macon obviously took the snap.
Yeah. Brady Cook's in the backfield.
Yes, and then which is weird, and then just pitches it back, terrible pitch. He drops it, whatever.
Yeah.
And did Tennessee recover it too?
I can't even remember. It was fourth down anyway, so it didn't matter.
True. Yeah, it's like I 100% agree that they were just waiting for this moment to just be this electric, huge play, because it's like this is a very unique play that you're putting on film like multiple times. Like they've probably done it 3 or 4 times at this point and not snapped the ball.
Yeah.
They know the other teams know what's coming, so it's like we're gonna just keep putting this on film. So the other team's like, oh, we know what's going on here.
They're gearing up for the sneak,
and then just hit them with this pitch. But it was like too far backwards. Like I feel like they need to hit him in stride a little bit. It was just like he fully turned around.
And the game was already 49-24.
Yeah.
That's not the time.
I agree.
Like this. Like you've been setting up this play this whole time, and you're like, now when's the time to run it? Yeah. When we're down by 20 in the second half to Tennessee.
I mean, there's just like poetic justice how much we've made fun of that play.
Yes.
And then it just crashes and burns so you can't even fathom how it's gonna be that bad. And then,
Tennessee did recover, but for the comedy of it,
yes.
It couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah, it really is almost hilarious how poorly that went, and just like on that specific play in general. Is that the last play Macon ever is on the field for Missouri?
Could be. Oh man, if that goes for a touchdown, then like he's the new starting quarterback. Speaking of starting quarterbacks, everybody wants to see. This may be a hot take. Let me give you this Sam Horn Brady Cook take. Brady Cook not getting anything done through the air. We know even the person that's calling for Sam Horn the most. Listen to me, you know it. The offensive line is not where it needs to be for him to be successful passing the ball down the field.
Maybe.
Throw him out there, sure. Let him throw it around. That's fine by me. Let's see what he can do. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling it wouldn't look great because of defensive pressure. Now, he'd probably look fine against New Mexico State. We'll get to that. But against Tennessee, against Kentucky, whoever, he's not looking good because the offensive line can't protect him. And I don't think he rushes 16 times for 106 yards like Brady Cook does.
Yeah, I wouldn't want his first game appearance to be in like garbage time against Tennessee when we're losing by 40 points. Like, I don't know. I think I would rather him just start off with a lesser opponent and know he's going to go in and that kind of stuff, have a little bit of a game plan and all that. I think that would be a much better way for him to start his career. Yeah.
I would have been fine with seeing him in the fourth quarter against Tennessee once the expectations for that game were completely gone.
Yeah,
but
so.
As
pressure's off.
Yeah. As fans, we have to recognize like some of the issues in the passing game are offensive line related, and those things are going to be there no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah, that's fair.
And maybe the passing game could be noticeably better with Horn under center, but he's not going to make as many plays with his legs. Now he could go for a first down here and there, but he's not. I mean, they were running Brady Cook consistently in this game because it was the only thing that was working for a little while.
It was working well, and that's the thing that differentiates himself from Sam Horn, or really anybody else that's going to play, and that's really his ability to run gives us a chance to win in games.
Now, with that being said, let's see Sam Horn against New Mexico State for
agree.
sure. Like, get him out there at least. We got to see him.
Yeah, my fear is that. Well, and if we would have played New Mexico State earlier in the season, I think this was maybe more likely. I think the offense has improved to a point where it can probably dominate a lesser opponent at this point. Mm-hmm. My fear is, though, that Brady Cook will start, of course. We expect that. And they'll get to, like, halftime, and they're only up by, like, 10 points. And it's just kind of like, well, maybe we just got to close out the game because we're still hunting for bowl eligibility. I think that's a very real possibility, and I know Coach 100% believes that. So
yeah, especially like if Arkansas was like a one-loss team right now.
If we were
and
playing Tennessee in the last game of the season and we still needed to win 2, then maybe it wouldn't matter as much. But yeah, there's bowl eligibility is absolutely on the line, and this is a must-win game. And Brady Cook's going to play the whole game if there's any doubt at all.
Yeah, I do have a few notes here on New Mexico State. Anything else about Tennessee? I want to talk about the seniors a little bit and some information that we know about who might be coming back. Honestly, I didn't expect to talk about the Tennessee game as much as we did. That was such a horrendous thing to see, especially in the second half. 66 points. I am a little salty about, I'll say it, they ran up the score. Nothing? That doesn't do anything for you?
Hey, I think they did.
Okay.
It's Josh Heupel's former team and this vaunted Mizzou defense. We're going to do whatever we want against this dumb Mizzou defense.
Yeah.
That make you mad?
Yeah, that's kind of I can't.
I
don't have a retort though. That's the problem.
I know. That's what makes me more mad. It's like I know, like they did that.
Okay, so it is senior night, and we do have some information about people using their COVID year, but a lot of this is unsettled. There's going to be players that do the senior night ceremony that potentially come back. All we know right now is Isaiah McGuire for sure not coming back for his extra season. Martez Manuel for sure not coming back for his extra season. We know that Chad Bailey is coming back, and the staff is publicly recruiting Darius Robinson to come back for his additional season.
For sure. Yeah, I wanted to just express appreciation for the 2 guys for sure that are moving on. I love those guys. Martez Manuel, Isaiah McGuire, had just great careers at Missouri. Have been here for a long time. Obviously, Martez is the local kid, and I can remember the day McGuire was committed to Missouri, and had high hopes for him. And I think that those came to fruition for sure, and became a really, really good player. Maybe one of, if not the best player on the defense by the time he's going to leave Missouri. So good luck to those guys. I think they definitely McGuire will be drafted, and I think Martez has a shot as well. Also, go make your money, but also thrilled to see Chad Bailey come back. I think he's kind of like a sneaky, huge part of the defense, and it has really, really become a great player in the last year and a half, season and a half. He's come on, and if we can retain some of that experience, again, and we talk about this all the time, how this is the formula for Missouri to win games is to keep experienced older guys around as long as possible, squeeze out every ounce of potential out of these guys who maybe aren't locks for the NFL, but can make a huge difference in college games. Chad Bailey is the embodiment of that. So it's great that he's going to be around for another year, and would love to see Darius Robinson come back too. He's had a really good year.
Yeah, honestly, McGuire's productivity this season surpassed all of my expectations. The defense as a whole, came on towards the end of the year last year, and he flashed some big play potential. And then this year, he was just yep, that's who I am now. I just make these plays.
Yeah, he's just a prototypical NFL lineman. He's really, really mobile, but he's a big guy.
Yes.
So he's going to be coveted for sure at the next level.
I think this year obviously we had elite pass rushers, at the end of Gary Pinkel's time at Mizzou, and guys that went to the NFL, but McGuire is just he is an SEC defensive line, and Robinson the same way. They just look different out there, and they match up with any offensive line that you put in front of them, and it's been really fun to watch. And now we get a whole off season of will they come back, will they not, will they did senior night, so now what? And so there's, I don't know. I kind of enjoy that intrigue. I know some fans are definitely ready for the extra COVID season era to be over, and I'm that way a little bit. Let's understand everybody's eligibility a little bit better.
I would say that's understandable, but also I think it's something Missouri should be really, really trying to take advantage of. So I think it's a really good thing for programs like Mizzou.
Yeah, there is going to be a little time here where the incoming players don't have that option, and they're watching a year go to guys who were like freshmen in 2020, and it's just there's going to be a little disconnect there that's going to be kind of weird.
It's going to be weird for another 4 or 5 years probably. Yeah. But I would say another couple guys that I'm kind of watching for is DJ Coleman, who is the defensive lineman who transferred from having a like electric FCS career, like one of the best defensive players in the FCS, and he's been really surprisingly good this year. Like he's kind of taken on, I don't know if he's like considered the starter at this point at like defensive tackle, but he's everywhere and has been a huge part of the defense, and I think he might have an extra year, and if that's the case, it would be cool if he came back. A couple of guys in the secondary, like Chris Abrams-Drain, I think will have NFL opportunities, and Ennis Rakestraw probably as well. And I kind of just feel like Ennis Rakestraw just kind of scares me, like some of the stuff he says on social media. So I just never his status at Missouri is just kind of always like I don't know.
Yeah.
But
everybody's on the edge of their seat,
for
like
sure,
thinking this could be his last game.
Yeah, but I definitely think Ennis could come back for one more year and really kind of build the foundation for his NFL prospects. But
you'd think he could look across the field at what Chris Abrams-Drain did this year and just kind of like him. So he didn't even have the most incredible season, but it's because teams did not want to throw his way. And I feel like Rakestraw should be able to look over there and be like, okay, that's the blueprint of what I do next year.
Right.
And I go just follow that path perfectly.
Yeah, like assuming like Chris Abrams-Drain moves on.
Yes.
Yeah, Ennis Rakestraw could kind of become the alpha for sure and like the number one corner.
Yeah.
I agree.
Now, Coach Drinkwitz did say in an interview recently that he knows for a fact that multiple players from the team have been contacted, basically being told, if you enter the transfer portal, there's a spot for you here. There's a spot for you here.
I really hate that.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it at this point. I mean, it is what it is right now. And
so that's, again, like I know it's, even if it's a breaking the rules, whatever, it happens, but that is considered tampering, right?
Yes. I feel like it must be so commonplace
that it's just not even a rule.
Well, it's like no head coach is like calling up a player. It's like the coach tells this person in their staff who tells this agent who's connected to this person. Yeah. And that comes through. But that's also a dangerous game for the player, because you're hearing like third hand that this coach over here has a spot for you.
Can you trust it?
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, like I have no way of actually communicating with this coach unless I go in the transfer portal. And I think we might see guys put their name in there and just so that they can officially be recruited by some schools. And it's a little too early to be diving into that completely, but it's as you get towards the end of the season, when it hasn't been that awesome of a season, there's rampant speculation about trying to keep players on board.
For sure. But when I look at like the list of guys that are graduating and thinking about the guys that we know could come back and the ones that we know will leave, where I mean every year you're going to have talented seniors that are making a huge difference in the game, to move on to something else. But I really do think personnel-wise they have a good chance to hang on to a lot of the defense. And I don't know what Tyron Hopper's going to do. I think he's like a pretty big question mark at this point, but he's obviously eligible for another season. If they can retain most of those guys, Missouri's defense could be really good again next year.
Having Hopper and Bailey back, those two together, would be huge.
Yep.
And I'm not too worried about the secondary no matter what, unless Abrams-Drain and Rakestraw are both gone next year. That would worry me considerably, but
yeah. Well, they went and we're looking in the JUCO ranks for a cornerback, which I think LJ Hewitt already transferred out.
Yeah.
They went and got the transfer from Miami, so they're preparing for that to happen. That's completely within the realm of possibilities that Missouri could be without Chris Abrams-Drain and Chris Abrams-Brain, you said, and Big Brain and Ennis Rakestraw. That's certainly a possibility.
And there's always the fun of what transfers to Mizzou will
exactly.
get.
Yep.
Okay, New Mexico State, they're not good. They're 4-5 with wins over Hawaii, New Mexico, UMass, and Lamar.
Everybody's beating Hawaii this year.
Exactly. I thought Vanderbilt was good because they beat Hawaii. Yeah, you get to go on vacation to Hawaii and just get a free win.
I feel like Mutt brought that up like 4 different times this year.
They use 2 quarterbacks. So they've got like a dual threat guy, Diego Pavia. Yeah. He only completes 47% of his passes on the season, so not really a passing threat. But
just like not happy with your performance. So like you were like, after you said
close.
it.
Who knows?
Just like,
yeah.
Okay.
47% completion percentage, 662 yards through the air, but also 239 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns.
47% completion rate is pretty bad.
Yeah, and the guy that's more of a passing quarterback is not much better. Like they both, I think, are negative on their touchdown to interception ratio, and so they'll use both of them. One of them will run a little bit more. The other one will pass more exclusively, but I don't think either one are too threatening. This is a team that has a lot of transfers from the Power 5 level that have transferred down for more playing time. I think one of their running backs, came from TCU. It's not a game we should really be worried about. They've got some talent in a few areas, but this should be an automatic win. I mean, I think 99 out of 100 times Missouri wins this game. There's not much else to say. This should be a win, but knowing this Mizzou team, it's probably not going to be as pretty as we would like. I think nice little bounce back game for the defense. I don't know there's a situation that exists as a bounce back game for the offense. Scoring points in every quarter would be nice. Not getting shut out in any quarter by New Mexico State would be a good step in the right direction.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
Will Missouri score a defensive touchdown in this game?
No.
My other question, will Sam Horn play in this game?
Yes.
You were ready for that. You were excited about that.
I wasn't expecting it, but then I was like, yes, I'm excited. I want to see it. I want to see it so bad. And this is the only opportunity left, I feel like.
Yeah. It is, unless Missouri makes a bowl game.
True.
But that's kind of putting the cart before the horse. That's how it goes. I almost said the horse before the cart, which would be normal. So.
What worries me about a Sam Horn appearance or not seeing one is I feel like we were on pace for that. Like 2-3 weeks ago, it was like, yes, we're gearing up for an appearance imminently. It's about to happen. And then it didn't happen. And then
literally he was like, coach was like, yeah, it's happening.
Yeah. And then it didn't happen. And now we've pivoted completely to just never, it's like not even a thing anymore. And we're just supposed to pretend like that didn't happen a few weeks ago where he was like scripted to go into the Vanderbilt game.
Well, I mean, at least he looks good in that red hat.
I don't know. I
will not be surprised by anything that happens.
Me too.
Just expect almost to not see him, and then when he goes in, be ecstatic, and hope he doesn't suck.
He's got to.
Is that the worst thing that could happen? Is he goes in and just isn't? He's just bad.
It's just really bad.
And so we're just like, welp.
Honestly, that would. I can usually spin zone anything into this isn't the end of the world.
Yes.
So that would be like, okay, well, he's not there yet, and we saw it, so we can move on from that a little bit, and like, let's see the quarterback competition in the offseason.
Yeah, we can all shut up about asking to see him.
Yeah,
every game,
basically. With 1 game left, we can be like, oh, all right, finally put that to bed. I think Missouri wins this game. I think they win fairly easily, but it's not. They're not going to score 50 points or anything. I've got Missouri. I wrote my score down. I want to hear your score first.
Okay. I think Missouri's defense is just they're gonna feast because it's almost Thanksgiving. They're hungry.
Ooh, yeah.
Hungry for a little redemption.
A little turkey
And mashed potatoes. And
do they score a touchdown, you think?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Everybody gets a touchdown. Remember that first game against Louisiana, whatever, Tech or something, and they just had 50 interceptions.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Missouri wins this game 41-13.
Interesting. I wrote down 35-13. So
Good guess.
yep.
That means it'll be wrong.
I don't think they're scoring 40, but
What about 41?
that possible. 35-13. I say Kyle said 41-13. It'll be something like that. I'm confident in that.
Sam Horn passing yards.
Sam Horn passing yards over under 25 yards, which is basically does he play or not?
I don't know. Have you seen this offense?
That's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna say over. I'll say over 25.
Like, Sam Horn plays an entire quarter, throws the ball 11 times, but they're all 1 yard passes, and so he finishes with 23 yards passing. That would probably be worst case scenario. They don't let him throw it more than 10 yards down the
do
field.
the horizontal one all day.
Yeah. Okay, I got a real question for you. A real prediction time. The first time the Missouri offense has the ball, do they get a first down?
No.
Not even against New Mexico State.
No. They don't do that.
Got to keep the tradition alive.
They do not do that.
Keep the streak. All right, we're predicting a win. Sam Horn plays?
I'll go
If you had to-
51% yes.
Okay, you're betting $100 right now if he plays or not. Simple yes, no, $100 on the line.
Yes.
If I'm betting $100, I'm saying no.
Okay. Sounds good.
We could make the bet right
Not
now.
financial advice.
We could do the bet right now.
No, okay,
So
no.
We're on opposite sides of it.
Absolutely not.
You don't want to take the bet?
No.
Oh, interesting.
Terrified.
Okay. Let it be known I'd take the bet.
This coaching staff is the least predictable thing in the world.
True.
Except for on horizontal passes.
Except for on Tyler making QB sneak.
It won't work. That's what's predictable.
No good outcome. All right, let's pick some games. I had to, not everybody's as active in the Discord as everybody else, and I wanted one last time before the season ends to hear from the leader of the Patreon guest pickers, Daddy JD.
The ringleader of Pick'em.
Their champion. He's picked once already this season, but I wanted to reach out to him specifically to, I'll be honest, I want the opportunity to fade his picks and pass them in the standings, and I want it to be against their champion. So
wow, that's a alpha move right there.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
You think you're gonna beat JD? Okay,
We'll see how it goes.
Famous last words, man.
Probably. There's a decent slate. There's a couple upset opportunities, I think. So, producer Cameron, if you're ready, take it away.
Oh, certainly. Last week, Cameron got 6 points. Kyle got 6 points. I got 5 points, and the guest pickers got 3 points.
Ooh, I'm getting closer.
Little window of opportunity here.
So our season totals are Cameron has 56. The guest pickers have 61.
That's still a lot.
Kyle has 66. And I have 70.
Jeez.
Dang, I wasn't as close to you as I thought I was.
Yeah, it's more evenly spread out than I had in my head. All right, we got work to do this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our first game this week is Florida at Vanderbilt. Florida is a 14-point favorite.
Florida by 50.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like how we've just made this little fake alliance where you're just trying to catch Cameron and I'm just trying to catch the guest pickers. And
we're perfectly, and you, I think guest pickers are perfectly 5 points behind me as well, or something like that.
I'll take Florida.
Everybody's on
We're
Florida.
just unsuccessfully catching the person in front of us the whole season, basically.
Yes.
Number 1, Georgia at Kentucky. Georgia is a 22.5-point favorite.
Georgia by 50.
Wow. Yeah, I'll take Georgia.
Will Levis and Kentucky lost to Vanderbilt last week.
Oh, yeah.
How embarrassing.
Vanderbilt's first win in conference play in 26 games or something.
26 years even, maybe.
I think that's what they said, yeah.
Wow. What's a closer game, the Vanderbilt game or the Kentucky game?
Oof. Good question.
Vanderbilt.
Probably. I'll go with that.
I'll write that down. All right, Western Kentucky at Auburn. Auburn is a 5.5-point favorite.
Western Kentucky. They don't even have Zappy anymore.
I didn't know that's where he came from.
Yeah.
Wow.
JD takes Western Kentucky.
Easy.
Ooh, death
Made it easy for me.
Yeah.
I will take whatever the other team is. Auburn.
Yeah, I'll go
I'm big on Auburn.
Are you sure you're still going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's going to be the next head coach of Auburn Tigers?
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, you think so?
Yep, I do.
That'd be something.
All right, the three of us are on Auburn.
Easy.
I have inside knowledge on that too.
Okay.
Ooh.
Mm.
Number 5, Tennessee at South Carolina. Tennessee is a 22-point favorite.
Okay, for sure, taking Tennessee and the spread.
Wow. Betting advice right here. You heard it here. I'll take Tennessee. Does Tennessee end up in that? How does Tennessee end up in the college football playoff? It just doesn't happen, does it?
No. I don't know the rest of their schedule,
Oh,
but
Ohio State or Michigan is in,
yeah,
most likely.
100%.
Georgia's in.
See, that is actually a possibility, though. Ohio State and Michigan are both in right now.
Yeah.
So someone for sure will fall out of that. Tennessee's 5.
Yeah. So one of those two, Georgia, what's going on? If TCU wins out, they're in.
Probably.
And there's a 4th spot there.
Yeah, it's not impossible. TCU would need to lose. They're automatically out if
Yeah.
they lose, no matter who they lose.
They'll drop to like 20th. The committee's just hoping they lose. They'll just be like, you're out of here.
I feel like whoever's had the least impressive season between Ohio State and Michigan needs to lose. So probably Michigan will lose.
Yeah.
And then maybe they'll get leapfrogged by Tennessee. Tennessee, I don't know. I don't know if they have any meaningful games left on their schedule.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, Ohio State.
They play Michigan next week.
Yeah, probably whoever wins that game will probably win the
Super Bowl.
big team.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Only one loss, though, for the other team. So
True. Same situation in Tennessee.
It's going to be one of those.
Could they
debates.
rematch in the Big Ten championship? I have no idea. I don't know who's in what division.
no,
They can't do it.
they cannot do it.
So,
Unfortunately, honestly.
yeah.
But all right, what are we at?
Sorry. it took us-
Everyone's on Tennessee.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Number 14, Ole Miss at Arkansas. Ole Miss is a 2-point favorite. Give me Arkansas.
Ooh, Ole Miss for sure.
Who did JD pick?
Arkansas.
Ole Miss?
Ole Miss, let's go.
Easy. The Alliance.
Wisconsin at Nebraska. Wisconsin is a 10-point favorite.
I'll let you pick first.
I'll take Nebraska.
Oh my. Okay, yeah, I gotta go Wisconsin. He's leaving the door open, folks.
Come and get it. JD takes Wisconsin.
I'll take Nebraska.
Let's
Oh
go.
my.
That's such a dumb decision.
I don't know if I've picked Nebraska like a single time this year.
You're better
Says
off.
They're bad.
I'm
this
sure there's
year.
like maybe a couple of games I did if they're playing nobodies.
Wisconsin
They're bad.
beat New Mexico State.
Okay, so they're good.
They scored like 66 points.
Oh,
New
wow.
Mexico State,
did Tennessee.
this is way past the point now, but their coach is actually good.
Wait, no, what? Who?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's
New
coach.
Mexico State's
Oh,
coach.
okay.
He's
He's good.
Yes.
At what? What? At what?
Coaching.
Just being a leader of men.
Yeah, my computer died. He came from a Big Ten school.
Okay.
Let me look it up.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. That was the last pick too. What are we doing?
That's it, yeah.
All
That's
right.
it, man. Okay, we got some exciting potential outcomes here.
Go Nebraska.
Let's go.
They'll clip that.
Don't.
All right, are we done here?
Mm-hmm.
Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above: Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan DeMore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Louis Hernandez, Tim Keens, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Groffalo, Brandon Hanks. Thank you.
Thank you, men. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, and all that stuff. Yeah, we're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you next week after win. Sam
Maybe.
Horn.